All right, so before we have the national anthem, I'd like to talk about at 8 a.m. we had Israel Friendship Day. It's the 5th year for this, and I'd like to call up Congressman Randy Fine. He has a few words to say, and then after that, the delegation. Thank you. Go ahead, Shayna, if you'd like to read the proclamation.
A proclamation by the Board of County Commissioners, St. Johns County, Florida. Whereas the relationship between the United States and Israel is based on the twin pillars of shared values and mutual interest, and Israel is a beacon of light as the only truly free democracy in the Middle East, and guarantees in its Declaration of Independence full freedom of conscience, worship, education, and culture. And whereas Israel was founded in 1948 as a national home for the Jewish people, and it is believed by some that Jews were among the earliest settlers of St. Augustine, Florida, coming to this city with Spanish founders in the 16th century. And whereas the first organized Jewish congregation in St. Johns County was founded in 1898, and congregations of Reform, Conservative, and Shabbat congregations continue to flourish. And whereas the people of St. Johns County, Florida, value the many ways our Jewish neighbors have enriched the cultural diversity of our county's tapestry, and they stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Israel in promoting freedom, human rights, and security. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of St. Johns County, Florida, recognize November 8th, 2025, as the St. Johns County Israel Friendship Day. Passed and adopted by the Board of County Commissioners of St. Johns County, Florida, this 4th day of November, 2025.
We've got some rabbis and some reverends. Want to have them come on up? You want me to talk now? All right. Thank you. Listen, I would say I'm happy to be here, but it's not true because I wish the government would reopen and we could go back to work. But no, in all seriousness, it's an honor to be here with you today. I'm Randy Fine. For some of you, I'm your congressman. If you live in the southern part of the county, I've been your congressman for just about 7 months, and so it's an honor to do that. I'm honored to be invited here today. I want to just talk for a minute about why this matters and why what you're doing today matters. You can obviously tell I'm Jewish. I'm the first Republican Jew ever elected to Congress from Florida. I'm one of a very small number in Congress. I think that's probably part of why I got invited. But I want to tell you why it should matter to you. Because you may say, why does Israel Day matter? Why does it matter to me? I'm going to tell you two stories. One is about me. One is about the Christian friends that I serve with in Congress. So I went to Israel with them a few months ago. Typically, when every 2 years a new group of people get elected to Congress, and they go to Israel in the summer. It's kind of a rite of passage. You get to know your colleagues. And for many of my colleagues, it's very exciting. They get to go to the Holy Land. They get to see the sites that are critical to their religion. Because while Israel is a Jewish state, it also contains the holiest sites in the Christian faith. So I was there with my colleagues. Only a couple of us were Jewish. The rest of my colleagues were Christian, and they got to go to where Jesus was crucified. They got to go to the Mount of the Beatitudes, where he gave his speech. They went to the Mount of Olives. They went to so many of these places that were incredibly important to their faith. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where they believed that Jesus was crucified and then buried. These incredibly important places where they felt safe and open and welcomed, and they could practice their faith however they wanted. And then they went to Bethlehem to see where Jesus was born. I did not join them that day. It was Shabbat, and I couldn't go on a bus tour, which is how they got there, so I did not go. But they went to Bethlehem, which was not in a part of that part of the world that was controlled by Israel. Bethlehem, a number of years ago, used to be controlled by Israel. And at that time, 85% of the people who lived in Bethlehem were Christian. You would expect that, right? I mean, it's where Jesus was born. If I was Christian, I probably would want to live there as well. But at some point, as part of supposed peace processes, Bethlehem, the control of Bethlehem, was given over to the Palestinian Authority. And today, not that many years later, less than 10% of Bethlehem is Christian. And what my colleagues talked to me about when they got back from Bethlehem was not about visiting the place where Jesus was born. The church itself was almost an afterthought. What jarred them was how different their visit to Bethlehem was to all of the holy places that they visited that were controlled by Israel. And so for those of you who aren't Jewish, if you care about your heritage and your faith, the state of Israel does not simply protect the Jewish faith and the sites that are important to Jews. It is protecting those sites for all of us from those who would not preserve them. So that's the first story I want to tell you. Second story I want to tell you is something about me and the other reason you should care. Because this isn't just about what happens on the other side of the world, it's about what happens here. Many of you may see that I wear a yarmulke, a kippah. That is a new thing for me. If you met me when I was campaigning in the fall and in the spring, you never saw one. People say, well, why are you wearing it now? And I'm going to tell you the story. I started wearing one on May the 6th of this year. Why May the 6th? When I got to Congress on April 2nd, they put me on the Education and Workforce Committee. It's one of the two committees I sit on for all of you, the other one being Foreign Affairs. And when on May the 6th, the committee I sat on had a hearing on anti-Semitism to bring college presidents in, none from Florida. Fortunately, I fixed that problem when I was in the legislature. But none from Florida, but brought 3 university presidents in who had failed to protect their Jewish students. But in failing to protect their Jewish students, they failed to protect all of their students, because everyone should have the right to go to a university and be safe and secure. So they were going to bring in 3 university presidents. And my son, who's 17, I see some kids here, my son who's 17, Jacob, that morning said to me, Dad, I think you should wear a kippah today. I said, why, Jacob? We only wear that when we go to services. I don't wear one every day. I said, why? He goes, because I have friends in college who don't feel safe to wear theirs. And so you should go and wear it in honor of them. Now think about that. We live in the United States of America. If someone wants to wear one of these, that shouldn't be a big deal. It doesn't affect anyone else. It doesn't get in the way. It's not disruptive to anyone else. It's me or that student practicing their faith. So why should anyone feel afraid to wear it? So I did, and I wore it that day, and I made a big deal about it. If you find the YouTube videos, you'll see me giving those college professors a hard time. I got so much reaction that at the end of that day, my son said, Dad, you should continue to wear one until every Jewish kid feels safe going to college wherever they choose to go, which unfortunately means, thank you, which means I probably will end up wearing one for the rest of my life. It shouldn't be that way. But this, God puts us all where he wants us to be. I firmly believe that, because I shouldn't be in Congress. This wasn't part of my plan. The president asked me to run less than 1 year ago. But I'm sort of debating, I'm having to remember to put on a kippah every day, and 3 days later, I get to be the speaker pro tem for the House of Representatives. It means I get to stand with the gavel and up at the top, where you see the president talk, there's 2 chairs behind him. I got to stand up there and be in charge for the day. And I'm wearing my kippah, it's only 3 days in, and all of a sudden an Orthodox family comes in, a very observant family. Looks like these guys, and because they're an Orthodox family, they had like 12 children. I mean, it was a big group of people came in. And I noticed, because it's sort of boring, and I see people coming in the gallery, and all of a sudden the kids are pointing at me, point. And I couldn't figure out why they were pointing at me. And I realized they were pointing at me because I was wearing a kippah. I looked like them. And I thought, well, this is interesting. And I turned to the staff, and I said to the staff, anybody ever wear one of these up here before? And they look at me and they said, we've been waiting for the last 3 days since you wore it to committee. We've been waiting for you to ask us that question, because we've done the research, and it turns out, no one up here has ever worn one of these before. And in the 249-year history of the United States, no member of Congress has worn a kippah in the House of Representatives. So I got to do that. And it said to me that is one of my purposes here, is to try to fight for this by literally wearing a target on my head to say that it is okay. Now, it does have a downside. I want to be clear. That night, I went to a cocktail party. I told you, we're not super observant. I went to a cocktail party, and I'm at that cocktail party, and I don't remember what I was reaching for. We'll say it was a bacon-wrapped shrimp. It might have been a crab cake. It could have been a bacon cheeseburger. I don't remember what it was. But all of a sudden, people are looking at me again. And I was like, oh, you have got to be kidding me. So most politicians get elected and they give up all their morals. My rabbi says by the time I'm done, I'm going to have a 12-inch beard and I'll be a rabbi. So, but that's the nature of politics. I tell you these stories though to explain why this matters again. It matters because by protecting Israel, you're protecting the sites that are not only important to the Jewish people, but to the Christian people from those who seek to destroy them. That's the first reason. And then the second reason is you live and your neighbors and your friends are Jewish. And we live in a time when many of them are very afraid. So by doing what you're doing today, you're showing, no, you are part of our community. You are integral to where we live here in St. Johns County in Florida and America as a whole. And we're going to make sure that you are safe forever. So I look forward to coming back and talking about things other than these issues. But today, on this day where you recognize the relationship with Israel, it's an honor to come here and spend these few minutes with you and share my thoughts. So thanks for having me today. Thank you, guys.
One more up here. Thank you for coming, and this was wonderful. God bless all of you.